Hi there, this is Jeff Ledger bringing you the back end of my 5th Zendikar Draft. I'm 5-0 at the moment with some blue-white, which is going real well. I have one other video in the sequence just caught a game. It was one that I actually drafted with a friend who's on Discord. There was probably too much interference to actually get it recorded. So I haven't actually got the draft portion. To be honest, it was pretty non-eventful, the draft. Nothing too crazy happened. No major crazy grads. But I'm playing Skies, and Skies just looks really good, in my opinion. This hand's not great, but I'm going first, so giving it a go. I might not be playing something until turn 4, though. That's a bit sketch. I found this, okay, so there's a Gloom Hunter. I can cope with that. Nice, alright. That's good. Good to see. Probably should have played this in the land. I was just going to talk about this. So the Bane Veil is something that I found way better than I expected. This spell is actually quite useful a bunch of the time. There's a lot of things it can do. I really will regret my choice of land if I don't rip another one. That was very lucky. So I kind of got like a free pass on my mistake to an extent. I'm definitely going to run this out now. Yeah, the Rooster Drakes is a superb card, but I picked this one actually up pretty late in this draft, and I don't have a ton of cards with Kicker, maybe only about 4 or 5. But the fact is it's still a 2-2 flyer that can then give me an opportunity to access some other 2-2 flyers. Or not, as in this case, there will never be any more 2-2 flyers, but we used an opposing card, so I really don't mind that too badly. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna, like, leap in. Yeah, I might use my Bane Veil here, it seems like I'm not. I think it's Bane. It's hard to know, but that's a pretty nice outcome for me. I mean, it's not me playing an Expedition Divider, but the Diviner currently isn't that much better, and it will later lead to me gaining... oh, it's a Cleric, actually, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so my opponent's made this guy. He is definitely something that I want to bind on. So I'm being a little mana inefficient at the moment. Now what? This was an interesting choice. I mean, it leads to me short-term taking more damage, but I think I want to get my flyers out so that I'm able to race this opponent. And I know, obviously, I'm going to bind down the Gnarlid Colony fairly soon. It helps that the Shepherd is also a Cleric, so that's going to turn on the Expedition's heal power, and I'm going to get some life gain here, so... Alright. That is some hot and spicy right there. What do I want to do? Yeah, I think I'm going to just play this as per my plan. Gain a bit of life back, not make an attack for obvious reasons. Maybe take quite the crack here, but after that I should be well set up to control the game with my spells. It is a bit of a risk for a removal spell here, which I wouldn't like, but Nice, so my opponent's indicating quite clearly no trick. Whereas I have a lot of tricks, so I should be able to come out on top on this board, I would say. Alright. I'm sending just the Diviner for now. I want to test my opponent's Ghastly Gloom Hunter a little, just to see what he wants to do with it or not. I mean, he's kind of got a card up on me here, and the boards are very, very even right now. With the Nahira's Binding, that should take his board below where mine is, but the lifelink is always quite scary because of how swingy that is. But I know that I can deal with a bunch of it. I think it's going to be right to bind the Gnarlid Colony because I think I can deal with the Gloom Hunter with the Zulaport Duelist and one of my flyers. That's what I was hoping would happen. And if I manage to pull this off here, I'm going to be very, very happy with the outcome. This is just going to kill that, so... Wow, that's big. Crucially, there's a pump it stat, so I thankfully don't have to blow a different resource here. It's just not too optimal. So the Zulaport basically allowed him to get through that, which is a bit annoying. No, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to take out the Gloom Hunter. I feel this card's likely just going to be too swingy for me to cope with. Whereas the Nordic Colony is one bigger, but I could just use like the Cleric and the 2/2 to block it now and feel fairly fine about that. I can protect my bigger flyers from death with the the Shell Shield, the Spell Shield, Shell Shield, Spell Shield, kind of pretty similar. And like trading the 2/2/2s for this is probably fine. Yeah, I think that's the plan. Especially as I'll gain 2, and then I should have like pretty good board supremacy at this point. Another pump spell would have proven pretty awkward there, but what do we mill for him? Ooh, Grekmor's. This thing's insane, so I'm glad I milled that. I'm glad my opponent didn't have another pump as well. That could have been a bit of a disaster. Just checking. This is creatures only, but that's fine. And my opponent has a random duty. That's also fine. No big deal. I'll close my 3. So again, that's kind of fine, although it's a bit scary how much my opponent's added to their board. They feel like they're definitely... Oh, perfect. So, was real worried. That's going to do a lot to salving my ills. And now I can swing in with a pretty efficient attack. The shield notably doesn't shield everything this turn, but I know that my opponent hasn't currently got a removal spell, they just would have used it. So if my opponent draws one in this specific gap, maybe with the spare supplies as well, then that's a bit shit for me, but I've got to take the rough with the smooth. I might have to take a little bit of a hit from something this turn, but probably like his only viable attack is going to be maybe the Black Bloom Rogue and the Mucklord, and just send them both. He kind of wants me to block the Mucklord so he can put a counter on the Marassa Brute or on the Black Bloom Rogue. But I'll block the Rogue if it comes in and loses the dual list, which he's deciding he doesn't want to do. It's not a good trade for him. I mean, I do think, yeah, the Mucklord is probably the only viable attack. If I was him, I would have drawn a card before having to commit to this or not, because it could always be the terror that kills my Shepherd of Heroes and then lets him have a full attack through, which he kind of wants pretty hard. Shepherd of Heroes is, one thing I've learned, is an absolutely nuts common. It's completely bananas. Either this is the sickest bait ever from my opponent, or they're just super indecisive and they hadn't figured this out first. Okay, so he's done exactly what I thought he would do. I'm just going to let it through. Because it actually allows more damage through in the long term by blocking this and letting him have a 4/4, which I then can't block, rather than letting me hold back the 3/3. Although I may just do an outright swing to face this turn, we'll see. Definitely put my opponent under the gun now, because, well, they're the ones that's got all the pressure on them from the Shepherd of Heroes. So they've got to land. Why haven't they used the supplies yet? Do they just have a really big drop? I mean, if they do, fair play. Like, but why hold back on it so much? If not, I'd really criticize their decision making, because they've had all this mana that they've not needed, and they've held out on drawing a card for a really long time, which just doesn't seem to make sense. This card's really good. So, they didn't kick it, but they brought this back. So ends battlefield with 3+1/+1, and they did sack that eventually. Okay, fine. Ends battlefield with 3+1/+1s. Whenever another creature you control dies, if I had a +1/+1, put a +1/+1 here, and then when this dies, it makes a token. Okay, it's just like a really efficient duty, but it's a ground dude, so I literally do not have to care. So, and it doesn't even have trample or anything. So this is less bad than I thought it would be. Okay, I'm not going to play that out. I cannot kill my opponent this turn. They're effectively at 12 life because of Ghastly Gloom Hunter. So I think what I want to do... Well, they're effectively a bit more. Yeah, I just want to full attack for 2 turns, because my opponent can only get 1 round of full attack back in on me. So I think this is the point where I just commit to getting cracked. My opponent's going to pull off a pretty sweet hit versus me, so that's nice for him. But we're going to have him definitely killable on the next turn, even if he does get a flying blocker. So that's really good for us. And that's a scoop. Nice. So that's 6-0 with the blue-white flyers. I think, like, I've always thought this. I think that in a vacuum in draft, maybe this is going to be a little bit controversial. I'd say blue-white flyers is in an unknown draft format probably the best archetype, or at least like right up there archetype wise. And the reason for that is just the idea of having ground guys stall the board while flyers win. It's just fundamentally super strong. And assuming normal-ish power and toughness curves and everything on your creatures, you will generally beat other strategies when you do this strategy. Because you just gum the ground up, and defending when you gum up is more powerful than attacking. So you basically get them to a point where they can't attack, even though your defensive board is smaller, like the board that I had there. But then you can still win in the air, and you have that opportunity to go over. And obviously when you add in synergies and particulars of new formats, there are other strong combinations come to the fore, and you might realize in a particular set that blue-white is not the best, but it's interesting to try a blue-white deck at this point in the format, and seemingly I've had pretty good mulligans as well in this, but it's been way higher performing than actually my black deck efforts, which I felt some of those decks have been really good, and they just haven't been quite hitting the mark, or my opponent's good draws have been taking them apart, whereas this just being a bunch of removal, and a mix of, again, a bunch of flyers and then some regular creatures to gum. I think a big other thing about blue-white is that it makes it easier to use your removal, because you can concentrate your removal on obviously either bombs, but because you don't have to remove as many creatures in terms of getting viable attacks off, because your flyers get round a lot of their guys, it actually saves you a lot of removal that you might waste on, say, like a 4-4. If they've got a 3-4 and you've only got a 3-3, like, do I remove them so that it can maintain tempo on them by hitting the ground? Whereas you never have to answer that question in this deck, because you're like, no, I'll ignore that guy. I'm just going to play my 05 or 06 or 04, and I'm just going to block the hero cards. Oh, okay, he's just playing. Oh, so he's disliking his whole hand enough just to rando it all now. Alright. I mean, I guess maybe it's better than a mulligan. It seems kind of interesting. He's like, nah, we'll go on the rando. I'm very happy about that, because it means my opponent's red deck is not on good tempo, and I feel like for red to beat blue-white, again, they've usually got to be pretty much on a good tempo plan to actually get it done, because I'm going to be able to do them in the late game with my flyers plan. Okay, we'll just take that donkey. That's pretty good, but again, like, that tempo loss is just a pretty big deal. And I suppose the one thing about deploying it that way is it does actually avoid the removal spell that I have for it, which I'll probably have to play now. Oh, thankfully not. That thing just hit like a truck, though. This is a fantastic example here. Like a regular deck might have to worry about this Tajuru Blightblade here being a big stop sign to its aggro, so I'd be like, oh man, I need to find a removal for that, or find some way of taking it out of the game, whereas with this deck I'm not at all pressured into that situation, even a bit. Probably going to just flash the Duelist and kill the Blightblade. There's quite a lot of pressure coming on though, so I have to I have to worry. Okay. Is he just going to play this like every turn of the game? Maybe that's actually good enough. Jesus. Rabbit bite from where? Okay. No thanks. I'll say no to that. And that's taken this whole turn out. That is great for me. This is a very weird game. Do I fear 2 from this? Not really. I might just even run this spell for tempo. I'll get one more land drop down. God, this is a very weird game. Yeah, there's a land drop I was thinking about. Yeah, I mean, certainly if my opponent attacks all here, I'm going to Bane Veil to get a trade. I'll do it now then. Oh, well, we have turned off a lot of rabbit bites. Maybe my opponent will scoop in frustration. I guess not. Yeah, we take. Wow, okay. I hope he doesn't have another rabbit bite, but what if we could die? Are we more likely to die if we do or don't attack here? I think I just have to leave this back, but it has been real rough. This might be the first loss just due to drawing 8 lands before my opponent has into the battlefield. Okay, that's pretty strong. So my opponent's now set to kill me off next turn. Oh my god, okay, wow. Ha ha ha. So this is going to gain me 2. I can hit in the air. I can... Whereas how much is it for? With a plus counter. So it's going to hit for 5 and I can block. Or I can hit for 4. Jesus, it's just the wrong amount of mana. I'm just having to work this out. I think... maybe playing Shepherd of Heroes is fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. Is it fine? Is it though? Yeah, I'm at 10. And then we can chump the Duelist against the Pyroblast Helium, which is going to be okay. You'll finally come down. God, all the Blight Blades. But I've got him dead next turn. This doesn't have Trembled, is it? No. Just double check, double triple check. What a bizarre game. And there's another land. So yeah, I mean this actually perfectly shows in a way why I feel this was an anomalous game though, but even when things went badly for me, my strat managed to get through just because it itself is strong. So despite the fact that the draws were awful, I don't know how good they were for my opponent because he pursued a really weird strategy of constantly casting the same aggressive card. But yeah, nice win. Let's claim some prizes. Let's get the older Printo Scredo. First blue-white deck, first big old prize hit. 6 packs, what's in them? I don't even know what I want to pull, but I guess I'll more just look at, as long as there are 4 more instant sorcery cards in graveyard. It's a big buff, it comes a 4/4. Okay, this card's quite interesting and it's a way to sweep through your land later on in the game. Yeah, it definitely seems like it'd be part of some maybe like blue-red spell strat. Maybe even a historic, I'm not sure it's good enough. So I picked up one of these lands, and that's cool. And this is my first search. I've got 2 basic on cards. Okay, wow, that card's actually pretty cool. I think it's a reprint, but it is a cool card nonetheless. Another Hegra Mauling, that seems to be one of my absolute favourite rares to open. I don't mind it, it's kind of like it's a mediocre draft rare, but it's a solid card to open a draft on. It's just always barely good. Blastful Mimic, solid. And another land. Okay, nice. Right, cool. So that's that, and thank you for watching.